And we are ready to begin, and we're so pleased you're here. And as we say all the time, we've waited for you your entire lives. Now, today you will understand that even more because, as we said, you will change today. Well, at least those of you who are ready to move to the next level of your existence and to help the restructuring of your world and your life, as we have always said, for they are the same. But what we did today is we had our messenger put together a little show for you so you can see the synchronicity of your life and your world. And as we have said, we have given you an ascension guide, and we've done it over the years because that is how you as an individual will accept information about who you are and how you evolve. But that is also the same for your world, which is what you're moving through now that we have called a restructuring. And we also knew that it would be challenging for many of you, which is why we have sent you our messenger. He has given you everything, and he's demonstrated what can happen when you decide to love who you are and move through all your previous doubts and fears and judgments and start to create and live the lives that you're each meant to live during this time in your world. Now, we've said this is the best time for you to be alive. No matter what you're observing in your life or in your world, it is for you to evolve. This is the information that we have given you, but we do understand that it takes a while for you to accept it and understand it, as it did for our messenger. As we told him last night, we wanted him to put this together. To his surprise, he goes to our messages and he sees that we did the same thing last year, which you can find on our website, anyadvicefortoday.com. We'd love for you to see it because it is there from this date last year. Now, we've done that because we wanted you all to understand that you have access to all the intelligence, all the abilities, all the talents that are within you, but you don't access them or even remember them always. So we have given you a reminder, as we've said. And as you start to remember your worth and value, you start to shift your lives and your world. But many of you have held back, precisely as our messenger has done as well. We had him recently share some of our messages that were a year ago or 2 years ago to see that we've said the same thing. We wanted him to move to the next level of who he is and what he brought to this world, as we want for each of you. You all come into the world with innate talents, gifts, and abilities, but they only become awakened when you decide to uncover them. And sometimes it can be really shocking for you, as it was for our messenger. He did not know that we had given him everything all this time that he was receiving us for the past 35 years, but we're saying that because each of you have been building something within your physical life experience that is meant to be actualized now. And as we've said, you are moving through a restructuring in your world, the purpose of which was to cause a shift in the balance, and that shift is bringing in more of the feminine energies, which means loving yourself and being more nurturing, and all of you were meant to embody that. It's not just one sex or one particular gender, it's all of you, because you are all the same. What we have given you is a guide to say that you can move to a higher state of existence within yourself and within your world when you let go of the idea of separation, meaning that idea that has existed within you where you thought you weren't enough, or you didn't have something that was meant to be of value. You do, which is why on this date in 2012 we first began speaking of value, because we wanted you to understand how important that is in your life and in your world at this time. And as you read the messages, you will see that the shift that we wanted to have was in more of the spiritual realm, because that's where you exist. That's where you always live. Now, you're in physical bodies for a while, but while you're here, you're meant to expand and evolve. That's the purpose for your existence. That's all of you. Now, what we will say that you will not all do that, and this is why we have told our messenger we want him to move on, because you each have patterns that you have not broken, and those patterns are of lack and not being enough. And we've given you a guide that you could move beyond it. But if you don't take the action, nothing happens. And most of you don't hear us, which is what we had our messenger say the other day. We had him share something on social media, which was from several years ago, because we had given him all this information, but we wanted you all to hear it again, not to judge yourselves, but just to understand how you operate while you're in human form. You will decide how much you're going to accept about your worth and value at any particular time on your evolutionary path, and then it becomes made manifest. However, You exist at a time in your world of this great transition, however you each want to think of it, but it's a time of coming together. It's a time of greater abundance that you're meant to experience because you are the ones who came to offer love. And you can only do that when you offer it to yourself. We're saying that because we know that you're seeing the divisions and the splits that are happening all across your globe. But that is purposeful as well because you're attempting to create a new world, which we've said that's why we gave you this information. The philosophy that we have given you, as we've said before, is called your life operating instructions because you needed a new one. The operating ways that you have been doing for so long have not sustained all of you, and neither has it sustained your planet. And if you were to continue doing it, you would have more of the weather events, more of the anger, more of the fear, more of all that going on. So we gave you something new. And then we showed you the results because we gave you a being, and this is why we keep talking about his age, because he's at an age where he's starting to move in the other direction, which is what we wanted for all of you. He's healed everything in his body from the work that we have given him, but he has not put the value on that to give it to the rest of you because he is held back, as you all do. This is not a judgment, it's a realization, it's a recognition, and as you take the next step in your life and accept more of who you can become, then you live the life you're meant to have. But he has to be the example, and so you will see on there that we've told him to move again and start to add more to our work because he's giving you just a little bit of it. How could he have gone through his life and healed everything? And we've shown you, I had him do many presentations where he showed you how he did this every day for 35 years. He's sitting down and receiving this information, and we've said that we've given him an encyclopedia of personal development, self-actualization, and ascension tools. And if any of you were to use them, you would have the greatest life that you could possibly imagine. And if more of you do that, then you'd have this greatest world. That was our intention, you see, was to give you something where you could uplift humankind. It's not just about one person or one race or one gender. It's all of you, because you start to come to understand that you're all souls, and you come into the physical world at a time that's going to serve your evolution wherever you happen to be. It has nothing to do with your chronological age, because that means nothing in this world, but you use it to think about yourselves in particular ways. You will add certain things, beliefs about limitation because of a certain age. No matter what it is, you could be thinking you're too young to have this kind of brilliance that you have, or you're too old to do something else, and none of those are true. You're in physical bodies, but you're eternal spiritual souls, and you come in to evolve, and each of you has the ability to create magnificent lives if you were to move out of the old stuff. And this is the same for your world. Everything that is occurring in your world now is because of those who are not willing to let go of something that was old. Now, we're speaking energetically here because you only create your lives and the world through the energy that you choose to hold and then eject or emit into your world. And so the energies of love and light are much higher vibrational qualities. And if you put those into yourself, you heal. And so now imagine if more of you in your world would do that. But in order to get there, you must move through the old stuff, and this is why we have given you all of our work. We had our messenger move through every limiting belief and idea that he had about himself in his ancestry so that he could bring this work in now. And the last thing that he has to move through and to accept is the value of what he has done. We're saying that's because that will be the path for each of you. We've just given you a way to get there. And the more of you who do it, you will have the lives that we have promised you that you could have. We can't cause you to believe, however. And he has to stop trying to make you believe, because you can't do that. You have to allow individuals to follow their free will of their soul journey, and they will reach the same place that you all move to. But in this physical realm, you must move to the higher state within you. And when you hold yourselves back, that's when you suffer in different ways. And this is why we had him write something that said, any suffering or struggle that you continue to experience is self-imposed. that means that you're still holding yourself back. And we're using him as the example because he's done that. And as we've said, and this is no secret, you will see he's done it with money. Well, it was challenging for him because he couldn't appreciate that he had done all of this and the value of it because it's gone his entire life. But now is a time that he needs to accept so that he can live the different aspect of his life at this time, which is what we want for all of you. It's where you're comfortable, where you're abundant, where you have everything that you need, and all you have to do is decide to love yourself. Now, we know that that's challenging for many of you because you've been programmed into believing something else for so long. But this is why we have given you everything. Now, we're saying this because we're leading you up to your full moon, and we're having a conversation there. And what we said, and the reason we gave you the message is what you will see then. We wanted you to awaken to your purpose. That's why we're doing the session. And those of you who attend, we will answer all of your questions. As you understand, when Roger is in this state, he can answer any question that you bring to him. And because we've told him, we've given him everything, and you've seen that before. But getting all of you to believe that, including him, has been challenging, which is why your world is still in the condition that it is. And it's going to move through this condition for the rest of this year, because this is the most pivotal year that you've ever lived. And it's not accidental that this is the number 8 year on your calendars. And we want you to understand that for those of you who are doing numerology. And it's not accidental that you're moving into this time what you call the age of Aquarius, because those who came before knew this time would be coming. Now, you may think of it as something different. Many of you call it, this transition, many different things. We have called it a restructuring because we want you to know that you've always existed, and as you just move through your soul's journey and reach the higher state of understanding of who you are, you live these magnificent lives, and then you will create the great world that you all want to have. We've said you're creating a new world, and that's why we gave you all the information beginning in 2012. Well, we've given it to you for decades, but that was the pivotal movement in your world where you could access more of it. And we're saying that because today is another pivotal movement, which is why we're doing this, and we wanted you to become prepared as you move into your full moon. But we also wanted our messenger to stop stop withholding, because he has so much that he can put in here, and he's going to have to do that, because the other thing that's happening, when any of you hide who you are, the universe will call you out, and that's what's happening for him. So just very shortly, he's going to have hundreds of thousands of people looking at him and looking at this work, and that's an uncomfortable place for him to be, as it might be for you. And we're saying that because each of you have been withholding who you are to a certain degree. You don't like to be seen, as we like our messengers to use that idea so much, because when you think about it, you will understand that's the only reason that you don't have confidence. That's the only reason you don't have courage, but it can be developed. But we have used your brain. Now, what we mean by that is everything we have given you is to use the sciences that you have developed, which you understand neuroscience, you understand cognitive behavior training, and so we demonstrated it on our messenger, because that's what he's been doing all of these years, which is why he could reach this place that we want you all to attain. And the more of you who do that, you start to see a very different life for yourself, and also then for your world. And we're going to continue this on your full moon, but we wanted you to absorb all of this. And as you move through these messages, please take your time and accept them and start to embody them. And we did it in this way so you would understand you don't do it all at once. So we do want you to become patient. However, there's a lack of patience that we're having now because of our messenger, knowing that he has all of this work and he's been holding back, as many of you have. And if you go and read the message that we provided on February 19th of this year, you will see the very first message that we gave him, where we alerted him in 1989 to the power that he held within him, but at the same time dismissed it and doubted it. Well, that was purposeful as well, because he needed to move beyond his ego inclinations so he could bring through pure cosmic guidance for you all, and that's what he has done. But now he has to accept that and move on so that more of you will do the same. We're saying this because each of you have something that you will pass on to others, and we want it to be of the highest vibration that you could possibly attain within yourself in this particular lifetime. But we know that you can do it because we've given you the work to accomplish that goal. And as you move through this particular gift that we're giving you today, you will find that you feel better. All you have to do is just keep reading and listening and comforting yourself and loving who you have become. We say who you have become because it's always new each and every day. We just want you to appreciate it and be grateful. And it doesn't matter what you've moved through, what you're moving through now. You have the ability in this moment to begin to create that best life for you. And that is the plan that we have given you, and that is the guidance. We want you to love yourselves because that's the most powerful thing that you could accomplish in your life at this time, but also in your world. And we love you so much.